First of all, welcome everybody to the Secretary of State's office. We're glad to have you all here, particularly important day today when we're going to be discussing these robocalls and the ones that so many of us, including me, get every day. There was a bill by Senator Doty this last time. The Telephone Solicitation Act was passed by the legislature and signed by the governor. So what that has done is it's landed on the Public Service Commission and the Secretary of State's office, who regulates over 4,000 charities in Mississippi. It's fallen on us to take this ball and run with it here, effective July the 1st. So we have been and are pleased to work with our Public Service Commission. They're here. Chairman is Brandon Presley here, and Sam Britton, as y'all know, is the other. And we are very excited to have them both here. I'm going to turn it over to them. What we will do, we'll talk about the actual effects here and the implementation of the laws that affects charities. Then we will stay for any questions from anybody that wants to ask us a question. I would remind y'all in this regard that we get repeated issues involving Mississippi charities, involving people who are not of a charitable purpose. We have actually revoked the charters of 125 different charities in Mississippi over my terms here, over the fact that they're really not a nonprofit in acting, and the dollars that Mississippians are so generous with, those dollars have not been spent for a charitable purpose. So we've been active in this, and now we're going to be active, and I'm pleased to work with the Public Service Commission. So I'll let Chairman Presley come up, and then we'll stay for questions. Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you all for being here this morning. Mississippians continue to rank as the #1 state of giving and charitable people. And we know that about the folks in our state. The changes in the law that are going into effect on July the 1st are going into effect to protect our people. Many times the complaints we get to the Public Service Commission about calls, robocalls, telemarketing calls, involve cold calls from charities, some of which, as the Secretary said, many times are dubious charities who pretend to be the friends of law enforcement, fallen firefighters. And when we looked into those complaints and began to work them in our investigation, what we found was there was a paid telemarketing firm almost consistently that was being paid to make these calls. And so the change in the law that comes July 1st applies to charities who are hiring a telemarketing firm to make cold calls to people they do not have a business relationship with, to people who have never contributed to the charity. And this will enable us to work with the Secretary of State's office and to put a stop to much of this activity, which sometimes, quite frankly, can border on being criminal because there may not even be a charity involved. And up until now, up until this law change on July the 1st, they've been able to fly under the radar because the Telephone Solicitation Act, the no-call law, actually exempted any type of charitable call. So again, this applies to charities who hire telemarketing firms to make cold calls to people who do not have an existing business relationship, who are not existing donors. That will in and of itself be a violation of the law. If you're a charity and you want to go out and hire a telemarketing firm, they must come in and register and go through the procedures of the Public Service Commission to be a registered telemarketer, and that involves a good bit of paperwork to make sure we know that they're legal and they're living up to the law. So that can still be done, but you must obey the act and not call anyone on the do not call list. If you're a local charity and you're not hiring anybody to make a call and you're calling existing donors, then that's an exemption in the law. But again, if it's cold calls being paid to a telemarketing firm, and quite frankly, that's where 99% of our complaints come in. We do not get complaints on St. Jude and Le Bonheur and the local fire department or the local youth group. Our complaints come in from people who have been called with dubious charity type of calls, and then you find out that somebody sitting somewhere is being paid 10, 15, 20% to make those calls, and we never know where those dollars go. So thank y'all for being here today. We have assigned personnel that is going to work with every charity to answer their questions. Just simply call the Public Service Commission or go to our website. You can follow our general information email, and we'll make sure we get those questions answered. We want to make sure people get in compliance with the law. We're going to give an appropriate amount of time to work that through. Thank you, Secretary Hoseman, for having us here today.
Sam, thank you.
Thank you. Mississippi is without a doubt one of the most generous and charitable states in this country. But regretfully, there's a lot of bad actors out there. And what we're doing here today is just a step to try and make sure to help protect people from those bad actors. And I very much appreciate Delbert Hoseman here and also Chairman Brandon Presley here, because at the Public Service Commission, we get these calls all the time about people, as Commissioner Presley said, it borderlines on criminal behavior, what a lot of them do. So the purpose of today is to make sure to attempt to rectify that and continue the battle on, to make sure that the charities that are out there, that are valid and good, that they still can continue on and help to combat and take out the bad actors. And again, this is a pleasure to be here with you guys, and the purpose, again, is trying to make sure to help the good charities and help to combat the bad actors. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Helsman?
Yeah, one thing I want to leave this impression on for everybody, we have phenomenal charities in Mississippi. They do great work. The government can't cover all the charities. You go to any tornado, you'll see the church vans pull up, you see all these people come to help each other. We are a tremendously giving neighborhood, Mississippi is. That's why this is so important, what the Public Service Commission is doing. We're taking those dollars away from people who have tornado victims, or now 500,000 acres of flooded part of my part of the world, the southern delta. We're taking money away from those people who desperately need it to be on some kind of call in which the money is basically absconded with. So we want to make sure we have charitable dollars coming in. Our charities are phenomenal here in Mississippi. And what we're doing is protecting the fact that they're going to get the maximum dollars from Mississippi citizens for our neighborhood and for taking care of each other.